So here is the second video for the Starting with Confidence booklet, part A, section 2, and it's on Indices 2, and this will help you answer exercise 3, questions 1 to 4. What we're going to do is we're going to go through, again, some of the method. We're going to look at some of these examples, and in particular we're going to look at where things will go wrong when the method is not followed properly, and hopefully this will illustrate to you the sneaky problems with this and where to help yourself when it comes to answering questions. So one of the key things in maths is getting an x function into this form, and this will become absolutely vital when you begin to learn about things such as differentiation. And basically what this is, alpha, well, this is a number, then we have x, and n is of course your power. And this is just absolutely key when it comes to parts later on in your course. So what we're going to do today is find out how to get different questions into this form. So here's a motivation. We've got numbers and an x function underneath a root. And what we want to do is separate it out so that we just have something of the form alpha being a number, x to some power n. We're going to do this by splitting up the root. So this is equal to the root of 4 and the root of x cubed. And of course if you put those back together you'd get the same function out again. And this is 2 root x cubed, which using Indices 1, which is another YouTube video, you will know by now, is equal to 3 to the half, which is of course x to the 3 over 2. Things get more difficult, of course, when we have a 1 over. But again, don't forget, we're trying to get it into this form. And here's what happens. When people see this, they know that the x is reciprocated, so we need to equal the x to minus 1. But what seems to happen is that people see 3x, and so this becomes 3x to the minus 1, which of course isn't correct. What we need is a method to get the correct answer, which is 1/3 x to the minus 1. And this is the method. It's called the sliding method. And what we do is we look at our example, so for instance this one, and we sort out all the numbers and all of the x's into these two brackets. So this becomes a number bracket, and this will be x's. Taking this example, for instance, we can look at 1 here, and there's no x's on the top, and when there's nothing you just pop a 1, and again there's a 1, and if we look at the numbers here, there's a 3 on the bottom, and then there's an x there. And what this will do is allow us to manipulate the numbers and then the x's in order to get something of the form, again, alpha x to the n. So let's look at some examples. Using the sliding method, don't forget this is for our numbers, this is for x, we can separate out the numbers. So we look at the top and we see that there's a 2 there, so the 2 can go on here. And there are no x's on the numerator, so we just pop a 1 there. On the bottom, there's a 3, go on our numbers, and there's an x squared. We of course check this by multiplying these two brackets together. 1 times 2 is 2, and then 3 times x squared is of course 3x squared. This can then allow us to manipulate this part, and of course it's a reciprocal, so we get x to the minus, and then it's squared, so it's minus 2, and there we have it in the form of alpha x to the n. Here's another example. Let's pop brackets for numbers and brackets for x's. So on the top we have no numbers, so we're just going to pop a 1. On the top we've got 1x, we can pop an x there. On the bottom we have a 3 and a root x. We can split those up accordingly. Now we can begin to manipulate. So here we still have 1/3, but now we can deal with the x's on their own. So we've got x, don't forget to the 1, and on the bottom we have root x. So this is a minus because it's reciprocated. It's x to the minus, and of course the root means a half. There we go, and these are times together. And of course we know that when you have indices with the powers and the indices is multiplied together, we can add these here. 1/3 x1 plus minus a half, which is of course x to the half. And there you have it. So you should be able to do questions 1 to 4 of exercise 3.